Yeah.
So, let's go, Josh.
Good afternoon, everyone. Shalom. I'm Shosh Badrosian, Communications Specialist for the National Public Diplomacy Directorate. I'll take a few questions after a couple of very brief points to share with you. Make sure you put your questions in the chat of the Zoom with your name and your outlet. Today is Sunday, November 23rd, and a short while ago, the IDF attacked the Hezbollah chief of staff in the heart of Beirut, who led the strengthening and arming of the terrorist organization. Prime Minister Netanyahu ordered the attack upon the recommendation of the defense minister and the IDF chief of staff. Israel is determined to act and achieve its goals anywhere and at all times. As Israel continues to strike Hezbollah targets in Lebanon, Prime Minister Netanyahu said this morning at the government meeting that Israel will continue to do everything necessary to prevent Hezbollah from re-establishing its capacity to threaten us. Israel continues to insist on the full enforcement of the ceasefire agreement with Lebanon, while taking steps to ensure our security. We will not allow Hezbollah, the terror organization, to recover and rebuild its strength and threaten Israel from anywhere inside of Lebanon. The terror organization's activities continue to constitute a violation of the understandings between Israel and Lebanon. Next, today marks day 779 since Hamas first launched its brutal war on Israel. It also marks day 41 since our released living hostages returned home to their families and when the bodies of our deceased hostages started to be retrieved. The first time Hamas violated the ceasefire plan was almost 41 days ago, when they decided not to return all 48 of our hostages, including all of our deceased hostages, as we still have 3 of them in captivity right now. Ever since that day, the terror group has repeatedly violated the agreement, from not returning all of our hostages to attacking our soldiers and killing 3 of them in the Gaza Strip under this plan, to crossing the IDF's yellow line, posing an immediate threat to our soldiers, to stealing humanitarian aid and brutalizing their own people inside of the Gaza Strip. This is Hamas, the terror organization who said they were committed to this plan, has continued to prove otherwise. This underscores the importance of why Hamas must be disarmed and Gaza demilitarized, as outlined in the 20-point plan. Now, violations by Hamas continued throughout the weekend. On Friday, 15 terrorists emerged from a tunnel at 2 different locations in eastern Rafah, where our IDF forces were operating to dismantle remaining underground terror infrastructure there. Now, at that time on Friday, the IDF apprehended 5 of the terrorists and eliminated 6 of them. After 24 hours of locating the remaining terrorists that emerged from that tunnel who were hiding out in Rafah, all 17 terrorists who attempted to flee the underground terror infrastructure were accounted for, with 11 terrorists eliminated and 6 terrorists apprehended and transferred for further questioning. Now, on Saturday, an armed terrorist crossed into the IDF's yellow line with a vehicle and situated himself on a humanitarian road where aid enters southern Gaza. The terrorist started firing at IDF soldiers deployed in the nearby area. The incident was caught on an IDF drone and can be seen as clear as day. A terrorist with a hoodie on is located on this humanitarian road outside of a parked vehicle, and he begins shooting in the direction of where our soldiers are located. Soon after, the soldiers eliminated that terrorist. This is an example of a blatant violation of the ceasefire agreement, and in response, the IDF began striking Hamas terror targets inside of Gaza. Now, as a result, Israel eliminated 5 senior Hamas terrorists, including the head of supply in Hamas's production headquarters. This person was a central source of knowledge in the organization's supply and production systems. Now, during the war, he also operated to transfer weapons from Hamas's headquarters to battalion and field commanders for use against IDF forces. Israel will not accept violations by Hamas under the ceasefire framework, and our IDF forces will continue to remain deployed in the Gaza Strip in accordance with the agreement. Israel will not rest until all of our hostages are home, the remaining 3 hostages, as they should be returned home for proper burial by now. The mediating countries must insist on the full execution of the framework and hold Hamas to its commitments to return all of our hostages. As the Prime Minister said at the beginning of the government meeting this morning, since the ceasefire started, Hamas has not stopped violating the ceasefire, and Israel is responding accordingly. After these repeated violations, Israel thwarted these attempts to harm our soldiers with great force. Prime Minister Netanyahu has made it abundantly clear. Israel operates without depending on anyone, and immediate actions to thwart attacks are carried out automatically by the IDF. Israel decided without dependence on any external party on how to defend itself, remove threats, and repel attacks. Israel is responsible for its own security, and the Prime Minister says it is of utmost importance for Israel to secure all of its borders, and that's why Israel is continuing to strike terrorism on several fronts. I'll now take a few questions. Okay. So the first question, Pesha from Reuters. Number 1, there was an Israeli strike on Beirut today. What was the name of the target? Should we expect further strikes on the city? Does this mean the ceasefire is over? Does Israel plan to launch a renewed offensive on Lebanon, and to what extent? Now, as the Prime Minister said this morning, we will continue to do everything necessary to prevent Hezbollah from re-establishing its ability to threaten us, and he meant it when he said that. Hezbollah will not be allowed to rearm and operate inside of Lebanon, and we expect Lebanon to hold Hezbollah's feet to the fire on this. Prime Minister Netanyahu also made it clear, like I mentioned in the briefing, Israel operates without depending on anyone, and immediate actions to thwart attacks are taken by the IDF automatically. The State of Israel continues to insist on the full enforcement of the ceasefire agreement with Lebanon, while taking steps to ensure our security as well. We will not allow Hezbollah, the terrorist organization, to recover, rebuild its strength, and threaten Israel from anywhere inside of Lebanon. Hezbollah's terrorist activities constitute a violation of the understandings between Israel and Lebanon, and the IDF will continue to operate to remove any threats to the citizens of Israel, our security forces, and our soldiers. Your second question, Minister Amichai Shikli wrote on X today that he asked the Prime Minister in today's cabinet meeting to expel Turkish diplomats, close the Turkish consulate in Jerusalem and the embassy, and ban the Turkish development, known as TIKA. What is the Israeli government's position on this? I have nothing to share on that right now. In a recent statement, you said that despite U.S. plans to sell F-35's jet to Saudi Arabia, Israel was confident it would maintain its qualitative military edge. How do you expect it to maintain that edge? Are there talks with the U.S. about Israel obtaining other advanced equipment when it comes to this? So the Prime Minister actually had an interview on Thursday, and I point you back to that, where he discusses this as well. Joel Pollack from California Post. Is the ceasefire likely to hold? And what is Israel's reaction to the revelation that many of the most anti-Israel accounts on X purporting to be within the MAGA movement are not in fact based in the United States, but are based abroad, often in Muslim countries? The ceasefire is in place right now, and Israel is working to enforce it. We've been working to enforce it at all times. We have been upholding our side of the agreement since it was first established more than 40 days ago at this point. But let's remember, Hamas continues to violate it. They violated it nearly on the first day by not returning all 48 of our hostages at one time. Not only that, they've been brutalizing and torturing their own people inside of the Gaza Strip. They've been attacking our soldiers as well. Israel will do everything to enforce this ceasefire agreement. We will uphold our side. It is expected that Hamas upholds their side. This is a plan that they committed to. Isaac from the Associated Press. Can you please confirm the targeted person in Beirut? The statement that I read in the briefing is what I can share with you right now. Lior Soroka, The Washington Post. Did Israel inform the United States in advance of today's strike in Lebanon? What I can share with you on that is that Israel makes decisions independently, and we do that to protect our citizens, our soldiers, our security forces. And in terms of Lebanon, I just read you a statement inside of our briefing in addition to the other information I provided you with today's strike. Sasan from NPR. We know that the Israeli military and Kogat are coordinating with the U.S. at the newly established CMCC. There have been reports that the U.S. is trying to take the lead on the entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza. Is that true? I have nothing to add on that right now, but for updated numbers on humanitarian aid going inside of the Gaza Strip, you can reach out to Kogat. They share updated information on X throughout the week. David Isaac from JNS. The United States is reportedly planning to build Gazan communities on the Israeli side of the Yellow Line in the Gaza Strip. Is that something the Prime Minister endorses? And if so, what are the benefits from the Israeli perspective, allowing Gazans to establish themselves closer to the Israeli side? I don't have anything to share with that right now. Jody Cohen for Newsmax. Netanyahu said Israel is determined to achieve its military goals. Does this mean the ceasefires are on hold for now? The ceasefire is currently in place. We have made it clear, and as outlined in this 20-point plan, Hamas will be disarmed, Gaza will be demilitarized, and there will be no future of Hamas inside of the Gaza Strip with the ability to govern their own people. We are committed to all steps of that. That's clearly outlined inside of the 20-point plan. Matthew Duran from ABC Australia. How does the strike on the Hezbollah chief of staff not amount to a breach of the ceasefire by Israel, given the location of the strike being Beirut, far from the area south of the Litani River, which is where Hezbollah is meant to disarm and withdraw from? Matt, I point you back to what I shared specifically on this strike. Joel Pollack from California Post. What is Israel's response to allegations of sexual assault by a Hamas terrorist against male hostages? The testimony that is coming out by our male hostages is critical to hear. I have seen a lack of reporting by news outlets across the world on what our male hostages have gone through, what our female hostages have gone through as well. But recently, of course, these testimonies are horrific to hear. Our hostages went through absolute hell inside of captivity, and we will make sure that their stories are not only heard, that they are told, that they are remembered, even when media organizations don't want to discuss the abuse that our hostages went through. We will ensure that their stories get out there. But it is absolutely horrific to know what these men had to go through for nearly 2 years. This just speaks to Hamas is. This is a disgusting terror organization. They brutalize their own people as well. And this should not be overlooked by the media. This is the truth. This is the fact of who Hamas is. And our hostages are continuously telling their courageous stories, bringing their own courage to their platform, to their own stage, making sure that people know their story. And I expect media organizations to tell their stories as well. Thank you for that question, Joe. Okay, those are all the questions I see right now. Everyone, thanks so much for your time. Please reach out to us if you have additional questions. Thank you.